Six Music.
From 12:30, Late Night Jukebox. Right now, Six Music documentary.
I'm Mark Radcliffe, and you're listening to Oasis, What's the Story? Back on tour to support Be Here Now, the wheels started to come off on the Far Eastern leg. Oasis proved they've really joined the ranks of the rock aristocracy by being banned for life from all Cathay Pacific planes for, quote, abusive and disgusting behaviour on a flight between Hong Kong and Australia. And in Brisbane, Liam's accused of headbutting a fan. Paolo Hewitt.
I think that Be Here Now tour really, really drained them. You know, it was a slog. It was like, OK, let's keep going. When they came back from there, I think they were exhausted. I think they should have taken a year out at least. But they were back in the studio within 3 months. And also, what happened was that Liam had been drinking a lot before the start of the album. Noel put his foot down, no drink. So suddenly you got Oasis, this band who are renowned for their drink and drug intake, in a clean studio.
Standing on the shoulder of giants, we decided that we would hire a French chateau called Chateau Le Col Noir. Still not too sure what that means. Noir's black, innit?
I always think back and think, well, we were in a massive chateau in the south of France. We're driving Aston Martins, we're doing this, that and the other, and it's like, wow, you know, there shouldn't be any tension. That should have been the most fun a band's ever had.
In the middle of all this, Liam was trying to kick the booze and I was trying to kick the drugs, and all the lyrics on that album reflect that time, really.
I go there, I'm going, right, we're going to have another crack at it. Me and Kid are going to try and get on. I'm going to knock the booze on there. I went there 2 months, didn't drink an ounce. Bonehead started getting whacked, which was fine because that's what he did, but everyone sort of thought, oh, well, he can handle it. I felt as if I was getting bullied. But I'd done it anyway just for the sake of the band and my voice.
There was a problem with Liam, he was drinking too much. It's like, alright, so none of us will drink. It's been said that I drank too much while we were there. Of course I didn't.
No, he was like opening bottles of wine each night. So I could see it very soberish, and I was thinking, you're actually a bit of a knob.
I'm a grown man. I'm going to stop doing what I do. I'll okay it with the singer. Is it alright, Liam? We'll go up to his bar up in Hills. He drinks a Coke. Do you mind if I have a pint of lager, Liam? I am driving, so I'm not going to get legless.
Bono was just being a bit of an arsehole towards one of the people that was working with us. I thought he was being a bit out of order, to be honest. I decided in a drunken state one night to have it out with him. He took offence, said he was going back to England. I said, I'll call you a taxi. Never seen him since. That was it.
No one told me to leave, you know. I mean, Liam rang me up, come on, we could sort it out. I actually left that session. I didn't leave the band on that day. But I got home and I spent a couple of months serious thinking. I mean, it's not a small thing to do, leave that band. And in my case, it was like, well, I want to write songs, I want to write music, I want to write lyrics, I want to record my stuff. For me, first and foremost. That's what I want to do. That's what makes, I suppose, somebody leave a band like Oasis. Just wanting to further themselves.
He left, then Griggs leaves, and that's it. So it's pretty much Schitt's Creek.
I remember that being a really, really, really good time. And then Bonehead and Griggs left, right out of the blue. Again, we're just back in the midst of chaos, you know. It was quite a weird ending to which was turning out to be quite a good year for us.
Thank you for the sun, the one that shines on everyone who feels love.
Now they knew what was coming. You make the album, you put out the single, you do the video, you rehearse, you do the tour, you have a couple of months off, then you make another album. So what do? You join a band to escape the 9 to 5, and you get so big suddenly you're in a 9 to 5. That's what I think was the root cause of Bonehead leaving the band that night.
I can't really speak for Griggs, but I think he was doing it for reasons similar to mine. Family, again, what to do, what he wants to do. My feeling was just like, oh God, no, don't say that, Griggs, please.
I haven't spoken to either of them since the day they left. I sometimes sit down and think, well, they've spoken to everybody else. I mean, what did I do to them, you know? Especially in the case of Griggs. I don't know why he left. I haven't got a clue. I don't know whether he's told anybody else, but nobody's telling me.
I'm never, ever, ever, as long as I live, gonna slag anyone or call anyone or be backhanded towards anyone in that band. I won't be where I am because of them. And because I know it's just not in my nature to say anything untoward towards any of them. I can't, won't say it. And there are no feelings like that.
With all the kerfuffle around the departure of two of the band's founding members, it's not surprising that Standing on the Shoulder of Giants was overlooked. But Noel, for one, is proud of how the record turned out.
I think that them lyrics on that album are my best lyrics, especially lyrics to Gas Panic, Where Did It All Go Wrong, Sunday Morning Call, Roll It Over. Can't remember the rest.
I wouldn't say there's no passion in it, I wouldn't say that, but they just sound a lot more mature.
I loved it, and if they'd done it with Gem and Andy Bell, it'd be mega, because it was a beautiful place. Some parts of it I was in heaven, some parts of it was like in hell.
Life is precocious in the most peculiar way. Sister psychosis, don't got a lot to say. She gon' let it out. She gon' let it in. She gon' let it out. She gon' let it out. She gon' let it in. She gon' let it out.
If half of the remaining original members had left, many other bands would have decided to call it a day. But pig-headed Oasis are made of sterner stuff. Noel.
We decided we were going to carry on because we'd already booked a world tour. That was the easy part. The hard part was finding two people that we would get on with, that weren't session musicians, that could make it work, you know, that could make it look like a band, you know, in song. And guys there, told us and all.
It was really cool at the time. And he got mum's number, he rang mum's house and sort of said, what gone on was
you could just all the name off. And he said to me,
I said, well, count down for a week, it's cool, we'll mix it down. And as simple as that. The phone down and just went, there is a God. Winked at a cow, it winked back, and then I came down, and that was it really. It seemed to happen really quick from then on.
Is it any wonder why princes and kings are clowns that caper in their sawdust rings? Ordinary people like you and me, we're the builders of that destiny. We're the builders of that destiny.
and then the difficult part came with the bass player. It was getting really, really close.
Speaking by phone from Japan and reversing the charges, bass guitarist Andy Bell remembers how he was summoned.
So when I got this call from Noel, they were actually quite desperate because they were due to go to America about 2 weeks later, so they needed to get a bass player pretty soon. So I think I was probably the last choice. Whatever I'd have been like, they would have put me in the band anyway.
We were on the way to the studio and we were reading in the Melody Maker that Andy Bell was going to join Gay Dad. And Liam went, why don't we get him to play bass? And I said, well, he's not a bass player. He said, yeah, but if you can play guitar, you can play bass, right? And I was like, well, yeah, of course you can. So we got our manager to call him. Me and Gem met Andy in the Marriott Hotel in Swiss Cottage in the bar. And we got arseholed drinking Guinness. And we talked about the band. And we wanted him to play bass. And we wanted it to be a proper band. And he said, look, I want you to keep it quiet just in case it doesn't work out. And we said, fine. We got up to our studio at Wheeler End. The first song we played with him was Supersonic. Immediately, it just all looked and sounded fantastic. I think within an hour, you know, that was it, the new lineup.
And when I left, it's like, well, who are they going to get in? I don't think they could have got two better people as musicians and just the way they look or whatever.
Gem was one of the best mates I've ever had. Alan, I love to bits. Liam's my brother, you know what I mean? Andy is as cool and as tall as it gets, you know.
In the end, me and Gem ended up touring for a year or more on an album we hadn't played on.
The world tour where me and Andy were sort of thrust in on the deep end, it was a whole hazy kind of thing because there's everybody looking at this band thinking, right, well, there's two members gone. And me and Andy playing songs that hadn't even been gigged before. I made my parts on Gas Panic my own, and it was a good way, I think, the best way to get into it, really, as opposed to going in the studio and doing a new album. It was easy does it.
Another world tour, another Gallagher walkout. But this time, it was serious. Gem Archer.
That night in Barcelona, it all just started wrong, because at the sound check, Alan's thumb went and he couldn't do the gig. Then we find out we can't leave the venue till 1 o'clock in the morning. For some reason, the drivers couldn't get the gear out, or it was something we couldn't leave. It wasn't one of these nice dressing rooms with, like, you know, princess carpet and Sting's candles and all that. It was a stinky cold locker room full of beer. So we drank all the beer, and for some reason there was one of these little arguments that ended up with everybody clearing the room.
I can't make you understand unless I tell you what it is that he said. I'm not going to embarrass him by telling you what he said, because it's disgusting in a way, do you know what I mean? I give him a bit of a kicking.
Chairs going through windows a lot, you know.
And not only did he insult me, he insulted my ex-wife and my little daughter, and I give him a slap round the f***ing ear hole for it. And I'll tell you this, and he knows this, if I wasn't related to him, I wouldn't be in a band with him, because he can be a nasty piece of work. But, you know, he's my brother. That's pretty much the end of that.
Suddenly, Noel's gone home.
I ain't going to stand on stage and sing harmonies with somebody who talks about my family like that. I don't give a f*** who he is.
And Liam's going, oh, we can do this, can't we? So we gave it a go.
No, I don't enjoy throwing my toys out the pram, because I know how it's perceived, but if I was to tell you and the people listening to this what he said to me, you'd think I'm an idiot for sitting here right now.
I was learning Noel's parts at 5 o'clock in the morning. The first gig was going to be in Italy as well, and I didn't know whether I was going to get bottled off by a load of Noel Gallagher madheads, really. But it worked somehow.
What doesn't break you makes you stronger, do you know what I mean? There isn't one band on the planet that would come back from some of the stuff that we've had to deal with. We got balls like King Kong in this group, man.
Drafting in guitarist Matt Dayton for the rest of the European tour, the band soldier on. Meanwhile, Noel announces he'll rejoin the band for the UK dates.
And I'll be honest with you, I felt I owed it to Gem and Andy to make one record with them, just so it wasn't just a sham, do you know what I mean? I rejoined the band for them, really. And I wanted to play Wembley Stadium as well. Yeah.
I could list you half a dozen bands now, and every time I've seen them, they've been alright. There's nothing worse. You'd rather go and see Liam dying a personal death on stage at Wembley Stadium than go and see somebody roll out the same in-between song bullshit every night. Robbie Williams springs to mind, you know. What you see is what you get, you know. If you're there on a good night, lucky you. If you're there on a bad night, that's even better, because the bad nights are better than the good nights.
Shithole! About time you knock the f***ing shit down.
Gig-wise, I just go insane. I just feel absolutely kid when I come off them after them gigs. I just feel like I've actually done a day's work, or I've done something. Everything that I have inside me, everything that pisses me off about everything in the world, I just let out. Every badness that gets put into me from dickheads with cameras or people that write things about you, you know, everything just comes out, and I let it all out. I recycle my bad energy to good energy, and a lot of kids get something good out of the badness that's inside them.
And blimey Charlie, did Liam let it out on stage at Wembley, relayed round the world by Sky TV. The recording is pretty indistinct, but you can just about make out Liam referring to his soon-to-be ex-wife Patsy Kensit, alongside the phrases solicitors and without a tea bag to me name.
We done them gigs, and then we had 6 months off, and then, you know, we wrote some songs, and Liam finally got his shit together, I think. He met Nick, you know. I don't know whether she gave him a kick in the arse or what, but since he's met her, he's a different kettle of fish altogether. Maybe he should credit his missus.
Even chemistry to me was great, because we'd both been divorced by then, and we'd got a lot of our crap out, and we were both in new relationships, which is important to be happy before you start even thinking you're going to make any kind of music, I think. And we were going in there, it was fresh and it was new, there was no phone calls with Patsy going, yeah, and there was going to be no phone calls with Meg going, oh, we're all coming over to the studio with Fran and all these silly people and whoever they hung out with and all this bad knobs and we're going to be doing gay. I just knew it weren't going to be like that. And it was like the opposite, and it was great.
You'll never change what's been and gone. May your smile shine on. Don't be scared. Your destiny may keep you on. 'Cause all of the stars have faded away. Just try not to worry, you'll see them someday. Take what you need and be on your way, and stop crying your heart out. Get up, come on. Why are you scared? Never change what's been and gone. 'Cause all of the stars have faded away. Just try not to worry, you'll see them someday. Take what you need and be on your way, and stop crying your heart out.
But we had a good time making it, and it brought the band closer together. I think it's our second best album. I think it all works well together. Seeing Little by Little and Stop Crying Your Heart Out, and in due times, you know, Stop Crying Your Heart Out, man, it's like it's up there now with the great Oasis classics, you know, and there's plenty of them. Feels like it's happening again for us, and everybody's getting off on it at the minute. It's cool. That song just captures the imagination. It's like Wonderwall, you know. I mean, what's all that about? I don't know, but I suppose it's the chords or something, you know. The funny thing is like, you know, you play it at gigs and people start crying. The song's called Stop Crying Your Heart Out. As Liam pointed out one night, somebody was crying.
We were just there to make an album, and there was no dickheads about. Every person that was in the studio was cool. It was just the way it should be, man. At that time of our career, that's the way it should be. Obviously, when you're young, you just want to just go in and have it, and obviously your mates come down and you do things and you stay up all night. You shouldn't have, but it's life.
Talking to the songbird yesterday, flew me to a place not far away. She's a little pilot in my mind, singing songs of love to pass the time. Gonna write a song so she can see, give her all the love she gives to me. Talk of better days that have yet to come, never felt this love from anyone. She's not anyone. She's not anyone. She's not anyone.
My favourite song on the whole record is Songbird. Demo started off sounding like the Beatles. There was lots of mouth organ on it and shit drumming by me, and we turned it into something that was really short and concise and beautiful, I think. And I think it's going to be the next single. I'm just really proud for Liam to write that, you know what I mean? It's just a beautiful, beautiful song.
Heathen Chemistry was released earlier this year, and despite not being surrounded by the fireworks that used to accompany an Oasis release, has been favourably compared to their earlier work. Paul Weller, and first, Andy Dunlop from Travis.
It's an amazing album. It's got the vigour that they had when they first started. It's definitely a return to form anyway.
I think it's good that they've started to become slightly more democratic. I mean, I think Noel's always going to be, you know, the captain of the ship, and I think it's probably good for him to sort of unload a bit of the pressure as well, that he's letting other people write some tunes, you know. I think it's good to hear that it's more of a band album. To me, it's like, apart from the first record, definitely maybe, I think it's good to hear it's an actual group playing together on it, you know, more. I don't see it's like they're kind of, you know, their glory days are gone. I think the music's more important than anything else, and I think there's better music to come.
No demos, the songs. We'll go down and we'll sort of like start rehearsing the album, And the songs will get it pretty tight, and then we'll go in there and we'll do it live sometimes. And that's it. And if it doesn't sound right, we'll start doing overdubbing the bass and stuff like that, you know. And then I come along and then do my bit, and then we mix it. And then we argue for the f***ing week, going turn him down, turn him up, and he's better than me, let's have it, I'm better than you, I'm leaving the band. Do all that for 2 months. And then hopefully we sort of come out of it with something.
It seems now it was all done in the blink of an eye. I'm sure it wasn't. It was great then to find out all these songs work live as well, so we're touring it now, and it's onwards and upwards really, you know. See what the next one brings.
I think that we've done the business, you know what I mean? And I think that we pulled it off. That's all our own work. It's like, we'll do it ourselves, thank you very much, because we're arrogant enough to think that we're better than everybody else. We operate outside the music business anyway, man. You know, we have our own record label. We should be treated differently, because we are different.
For a band whose story contains more twists and turns than a twisty-turny thing, it's a bit dangerous to try and say what'll happen next. Has that ever stopped either Gallagher? No.
To be honest, when we get back off this tour, which will be the end of January, Liam, being Liam, is an impatient little that wants to get in the studio. I'm having a bit of time off, I need to move house again. We haven't got enough songs for an album anyway. Our record deal is up after the next album, so I'm not really sure about record companies anymore, or record deals, or whether we need one, whether we want one.
And he's got loads of songs that no one's ever even heard, and I'm sure he forgets about them. We could have been out of our record deal a long, long time ago. It was his fault.
To the fans, I will say this: I have written 4 songs for the album. One is called Stop the Clocks, which is one of the best songs I've ever written. One is called Don't Be Down, which you will never hear because I wrote it for my baby girl. One is called The Magic Can't Be Right, which sounds like the Rolling Stones, and one is called I Want to Live in a Dream in My Record Machine, which is about 10 minutes long, and it's big psychedelic, loads of guitar solos, but it's good though, the lyrics are good. That's about as much as I can tell you at the minute, apart from the fact that we're all wearing black armbands at the moment because Liam Gallagher's turned 30, and it's a sad day for rock and roll.
It's a bit strange trying to sum up the legacy of a band who are still regular visitors to the top of the charts. But the fact that after all the mayhem, the arguments, the drugs and, yep, the swearing, Oasis are still mad for it is, in my opinion, which is of no great worth, I am a DJ, a bloody good thing. And this lot think so too.
Now they're part of our culture and they're part of so many people's lives that they're going to carry on being important for years to come. So many people owe them so much from 1994 onwards. There's probably hundreds still, thousands probably, of relationships which were built on Wonderwall or Don't Look Back in Anger. There's an Oasis tune, I'm sure, which is shared by so many gangs of mates or boyfriends and girlfriends that I think, you know, that they won't go away in that way. And I think the great thing is that there are still young kids discovering Oasis even now.
They can have opened a lot of doors for every band that's going to come after them.
I think that they'll be around for a long time to come. I mean, they've been written off quite a few times over the past 5 or 6 years for sure, but Noel, I just can't write him off.
It was youth culture of Britain had kind of come together for that band. That's how powerful they were. Those songs had united everybody.
Oasis came along and they gave us the time of our lives, really. They led us through into the promised land. I think Oasis took pop music back to the people. I think they were the people's band for the 90s. That would be their legacy, I think.
In the early 90s, they buried this whole angst that rock bands had and everyone had, of saying, I'm a tortured artist, I don't really want to be in a band. Whereas Noel and Liam was just saying, enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
know, we weren't bothered about how it was perceived or how it would be in 10 years or anything like that. You know, it's like we were just pure at heart. You know, we were just in a band. We were in it for the crack, you know, and the money and the booze and the birds.
We've got passion, you know what I mean? I'm just mad for it. I just want to make rock and roll music. I want my share of the cut, and I want to look after my family, you know, and I want to look after the people who I like around me. And then, you know, I'm just waiting for whoever it is who takes you to the next phase. That's all I want to do, and I want to do it right.
6 Music documentary.